welcome everyone to the latest TezTalks live episode. We have a very special episode planned today. One I'm personally really excited about. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today we have myself, William McKenzie of Tesla's Commons, and we have Kenneth Garofalo of Tesla's Commons, and Stephane de Baets of Elevator Returns. Guys, how are you all doing today?
Doing very well. Happy to be here. And this is one of the most exciting episodes of TezTalks Live yet.
Absolutely.
Hey, Ken. Stephane here from New York. So excited to be live. I think we're going to have a great 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Super excited.
And for all the audience listening right now, don't forget we're doing a Ledger Nano S engraved with the Tezos logo giveaway. About 10 minutes before the end of this episode, I'll drop a keyword, which you will enter into the YouTube chat to be entered into a drawing to win that giveaway. So stay tuned for that keyword, guys.
Absolutely. And we'll also be taking questions throughout the entirety of the stream. So feel free to go ahead and asking those. But let's just go ahead and get into a bit of your background. Stephane, would you like to talk about your background a bit?
Certainly. So born and raised in Belgium. So that was a long time ago. And, Belgium is this tiny little country in the middle of Europe. We're famous for the beer, for the chocolate, and for the diamond. But I really looked at the world and said, there's absolutely no way I want to wake up at 50-year-old and say, I've only seen this part of the world. So just after university, I expatriated myself in Southeast Asia. I use Bangkok as a base, but I've worked in Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam, India, Tokyo. I stayed there for about 22 years. Then I decided that it was time to see another part of the world. I went through a divorce, so that was very, I would say, easy for me to make a move. And, at that time, it was like going towards the world of Frank Sinatra. There's only one place where you're going to try to make it. It has to be New York. And if you can make it there, you can make it everywhere. So I relocated in New York in 2012, and it has been amazing.
Go
ahead. Sorry.
If you want to continue, that's a very interesting background that you're able to basically travel to these different parts of the world, making connections along the way. And then you end up in New York. And of course, you've made it in New York. And so, excuse me if I'm interrupting, but could you lead us a little bit into how you discovered Tezos and how you started being on the side of the community and started developing your project with Tezos smart contracts?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the question. So my background is capital market in the mid-90s for whoever was born. And remember, it was really the time that the Western world was discovering what they call the tiger economies. And a little bit like in 2017, in the crypto world, any stock would go up 2, 3, 4, 500%. And it was like a huge party in Asia that eventually ended up in a disaster in 1997 when the whole Asian pegged currency blew up and we went into what we call the dim sum crisis. So I was capital market until then. I became a restructuring specialist, picking up the pieces of the financial crisis. I did that until pretty much 2003. Then I built up a real estate investing company, and we went and purchased hotel properties. We built up a huge portfolio. We divested most of the portfolio in 2007, and guess who was the buyer? It was Lehman Brothers. So I guess we got lucky there. Then we saw the crisis happening in the US, the Lehman Brothers crisis. And we kind of say, okay, what do you do in a crisis? When everybody else frees, you go and you buy assets because the good assets always come back. So that's what we did. We started lifting trophy property in the United States. Then what I realized moving to New York, and lots of people were coming to me and say, how do I piggyback on what you do, Stephane? And I realized that the world of real estate investing is extremely incestuous and tiny, tiny, tiny. The buyers of hotel, maybe there's 50, if you're lucky, 100 in the world. We all know each other. But truly, the desire for other people to be able to play and to buy a piece of a trophy property is there. So we tried to do an IPO on the New York stock market. We were the first one to try a single asset REIT. That didn't work. It was a failure. The costs were way too high. There was no appetite. On Wall Street, you need to be big or you don't exist. So we kind of scratched our heads in 2017, and we retooled the whole offering into basically a digital token. It was first written on ERC20. And then what we realized post-offering is there's no infrastructure out there. It's good to issue a token, but what do you do with it after? So we then started going very deep into how do we build the infrastructure? If it's not there, you're gonna have to build it. And then we realized that ERC20, sorry, it's probably not the right tool to do security token. We came across some individuals into the Tezos Foundation. We get to know each other. And truly, we spent the last 2 years building something which is amazing, which is a turnkey infrastructure, which is licensed in Asia. And that's going to be live. So excited. We're going to have the Aspen coin as a smart contract on Tezos, trading within 1 or 2 weeks on the T0 ATS platform, fully regulated, completely integrated with a transfer agent. So what we are about to see in the next couple of months is the achievement of 2 years of very hard work. And we kind of get to know the Tezos community so well. And I can tell you one thing. What we love about the Tezos community is the fact that people do work together. You look at a problem and you find a solution using the help of the community. So it has been a great journey. And like I say, you know, it's like running a marathon. We've done 42K. There's the last couple of 100 meters. And so excited to be live just at the time that we're about to hopefully cross the finish line.
Yeah, and I think you know something about running marathons as well from your past as well. So great points. And I think we always hear our guests come on and reiterate how important the community of Tezos is to them choosing to want to participate in this ecosystem, you know, aside from the great tech that we have. So leading right into Aspen Coin, you mentioned that you've recently transitioned from an ERC20 token into a Tezos security token. I believe this is with the FA 1.2 standard. But you did mention also that it has an upcoming listing on T0. So why don't we talk a little bit about T0 and how when that listing is going live and how the partnership is between T0 and yourself?
Yeah, so the good news is the product at the end, without going technical first, is whoever wants to own a piece of the Synergies Aspen is going to be able to open an account on Nanos Securities, which is linked to T0, and he can press purchase Aspen or sell Aspen. There is a digital token that's going to give them direct ownership into the property. I think it's awesome. It's a world first. And people, you know, I've been tweeting about it, and people ask me, how is that relevant for Tezos? And here is the relevance. Up to today, there is absolutely no way for an owner of a minority stake into a real estate asset to have any form of liquidity. If you own real estate asset, either you own it passively into a REIT, and guess what? You don't own the real estate, you own the strategy that owns the real estate, or you're a billionaire and you own the entire hotel for yourself, and then it's a binary relationship. You own it or you sell it. But what we've created, hopefully, we've created a way for people to monetize partial stake into real estate assets. The space of commercial real estate is $60 trillion. So if in a couple of weeks we see any form of liquidity will be better than none. Potentially all eyes will be looking at T0 and we'll say, well, there is a way to monetize real estate outside a straight sale. That opens the floodgate for 60 trillion of potential deals. And that would become by far the largest asset class in the world. So it's a world first. We're going to need the support of the community to see liquidity. It's all based on liquidity. Price is price. Nobody cares. You know, price is what somebody is willing to pay tomorrow. Liquidity is what is key. So partnership with T0, Computershare. Computershare is our transfer agent. As you know, Computershare is the largest company doing share register in the world. T0 is the only exchange in the US, security token exchange, that has any form of liquidity. They have 99% of the liquidity into the space. And guess what? We love the timing because I don't know how many of your listeners knows, but T0 is owned by a company called Overstock. Here is the funky story. Overstock in March was a $2 stock. And I'm asking you, what do you think is the price of Overstock trading right now? It is north of $90, which means that is being the darling of the COVID pandemic. The stock is up 45 times. The shareholders of Overstock are screaming for more. So you have a really booming Overstock community that wants to see their digital asset technology being successful. You have the amazing Tezos community that really want the proof of concept of asset tokenization to be liquid. I hope we have a perfect storm and we're going to have a successful listing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to digest there. Just to summarize a bit, the whole reason you went down this rabbit hole of trying to get a security token model is to provide liquidity to minority shareholders of these luxury properties or properties in general, these real estate properties. And traditionally tried with an IPO process, but there was no liquidity in the traditional markets. So now the big test is this Aspen coin going live on T0 is a big test. There's a lot of other eyeballs of other people that may own real estate that want to follow a similar model. They want to see what kind of liquidity gets traded on the platform day one, day two, and going forward of the Aspen coin. So definitely you have a lot of factors at play here that could cause a perfect storm and provide you just that, the liquidity needed to prove the concept works.
Yeah, not only that. Today, there is a big crisis, as you know. There's a cash flow crisis. Owners that own a real estate is going to have two portions on their capital. They're going to have the debt and they're going to have the equity. There is no price discovery on a private company for what is the value of the equity. What Aspen Coin is going to do, is going to form a way for owner to put the price on the value of the equity. And truly, I can promise you one thing. I've been buying real estate for the last 20 years. People know me in real estate circles. I can tell you one thing, everybody's going to be watching. And it will hopefully change the relationship of people with real estate. And guess what? It could be a very good solution to the current cash flow crisis, which is coming. People will use this vehicle to raise what I call band aid capital to go through the crisis without losing their assets to the lender. So a lot at stake in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and actually going off on that, in terms of the Aspen coin, are there any specific features or things we should be expecting, Stephane?
Well, today, the Aspen coin is a direct ownership into the property. So you receive a dividend. If the property is being refinanced and we take some capital out, you receive a distribution. Just to give you what the returns were, and this is by no way an indication of what the return will be in the future, but the people that subscribe the private placement receive a 12% return the first year. And I would say that that's not something to be shy about. So The hotel is doing great. People are leaving the big cities. They're going to places where they feel safe. And the Colorado Rockies Mountain is definitely the place to be right now. So.
And I wanted to just harp on that one piece that you said earlier is there's $60 trillion of other real estate assets sitting on the sideline. Again, watching this as a test case example. So I think that would be, we've heard that in the past. I know some people have spoke at conferences mentioning this. I think it was the former Overstock CEO mentioning this. And it's the elephant in the room. There's so much money or so much real estate that could benefit from liquidity added to the share trading process for minority shareholders. So, everyone's eyeballs is on this right now. I can't stress that enough.
That's right. And guess what? Perfect storm again. We have the Treasury printing money. It doesn't take a genius, PQ equal MV. If you're going to expand the monetary base, the currency is going to debase. What does that mean? Real assets going to reflate. The problem is, how does Mr. John Smith buy a trophy asset? He can't. Tomorrow, he will be able to open an account at Nanos Securities, take $500 and own $500 worth of St. Regis Aspen. How cool that is. I'm not giving money to my children for Christmas. I'm giving them pieces of trophy real estate. I can guarantee when they're going to be 20 years old, they're going to thank me about it.
Yeah, and actually going off on that leads us to some of the real estate projects that you have going on in Thailand. So to my knowledge, you have 3 licenses in Thailand and a existing legacy broker accounts and a ICO portal. Would you like to talk about that a bit, Stephane?
Yes, and I'm going to explain as well why we ended up there. When we did the first tokenization, the Aspen coin is so relevant for many, many reasons. But what we learned by doing the Aspen coin private placement, we learned that to be successful, you need a couple of elements. Just to be smart and to have a great partner, unfortunately, is not good enough. A, you need to have a regulator that welcomes innovation. Secondly, you need to have a public that is also embrace innovation. You need a pipeline of deals, and you need to have a distribution. Because a lot of people have a great idea, but they have nobody to call to place their great idea, and it just stays a great idea. So because I was fortunate enough in my life to have spent 20-some years in Southeast Asia, and I was an investment banker there, I know lots of people. And what we realized going back in 2017, 2018 is these countries embrace innovation faster than countries like Europe or United States because they feel that they can jump innovation ladder and grab market share from the established market. So we went and lobbied the Thai government into creating what they call the digital asset special decree. And they basically lay down the groundwork about how the new game, how the new playing field is going to be played out. What you need to do to buy a license, etc. So what we didn't want to do, we didn't want to apply for license and have no distribution. So the best way for us to buy distribution was to acquire majority stake into a public company called Simico Securities. We own 25% of it, and to use that existing entity to apply for the licenses. So you're right, we own a primary issuance portal license. We are currently filing a couple of tokens with the Securities Exchange Commission. We are concentrating on 3 types of tokens. We're going to do property real estate. We have approximately $1 billion, if not more, of assets that have been lined up for tokenization. Our first deal will be in October. We've delayed the first deal, but for good reason. We have retooled the offering to put a put option to token holders So that means there is a certainty to get their money back at the end of the lifetime of the token. That's going to facilitate the sale of the token. That's going to hit the market in Thailand, local IPO in October. The size is $80 million. It will be by far the largest public regulated offering of any security token in the world. And we call it NBIT token standard, which is non-bearer investment token. And it's built on FA 1.2. It's all built on Tezos. We've also created a digital exchange called ERX in partnership with AlphaPoint, running exclusively for Tezos-based tokens. And so we own the entire ecosystem. It's super exciting. The other type of token we're going to launch before the end of the year, we call it the blue chip tokens. And effectively is take the largest FANG shares from the US market and to park them into an SPV and to create a smart contract that give direct ownership to the asset of the SPV. So we're going to have Facebook token, we're going to have Amazon token, we're going to have Apple token. But remember, we also have approximately 400,000 active legacy securities broker. So we're just going to sell into an existing database of clients, give them more choice.
So this is actually a really cool point to focus on here. It's a cool tease. These blue chip tokens, these are something that represent the real world stock certificates that traditionally trade on the US equity markets. But now you're opening up capital flow in the Thai market, this Thai stock market, essentially. So the token would represent these assets. And say if someone had $1,000, they wouldn't normally be able to buy an Amazon stock, one share, right? Because you have to, there's no fractional investing traditionally. But in this model, you would be able to fractionally invest and you would be able to own less than one share of, say, an Amazon with $1,000. So you're able to add more liquidity into these assets. And I'm also curious, we do have a question from the audience here that we'll get to in 1 second. That's in regards to the previous topic, but I don't want to distract from this here. How do we suspect the prices of these blue chip tokens will mirror the actual price of the equities? Do we expect an arbitrage trader to sort of make these things almost identical to the market price in the US, or are there going to be some slippage between prices?
Well, it's fantastic you asked a question, because I was actually talking with my partners in Thailand about this subject this morning. If you take the theory that when you go from wholesale to retail, you have price increase because there's a value for access. You're right. If you want one Amazon shares, it's $3,000. So you either have that or you can't play or be exposed to Amazon. So I personally believe that A, because there's going to be scarcity, B, because it's going to be access, we may see these tiny tokens trading at a premium to the underlying. Whether or not smart people would come and arbitrage, I don't know. I hope so, because that means another liquidity player provider into the space. And the other stuff, which is hyper important as well, and this is why I truly believe those tokens will be hyper successful. They will trade on Asian hours. So when the market imaging, Elon Musk smoke a joint with Joe Rogan, and the market goes on fire. How do you play if he's on Joe Rogan at 10 p.m.? The market is closed. Guess what? Asia is open. So people will actually use those tokens to basically hedge after market hours, I believe.
Yeah, you're definitely adding almost like a 24-hour investment cycle for these assets that were typically restricted to regular trading hours of 9:30, Eastern Standard Time AM to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Granted, there is pre-market and aftermarket trading, but there's still no overnight trading. So that's where the Asian markets come in. Bingo. Right. So Stephane, let me just get to a question we had from the audience here in regards to the Aspen coin. From my understanding, this is not an STO, but instead it's the partnership with T0 and the listing on T0 is actually a secondary market to trade the asset. Can you clarify that for us?
That's absolutely true. So the way it works, because today there's still no direct route to tokenization. Maybe if you use the Reg A route, but nobody has been successful yet to date. So what we did, we did a private placement to accredited investor in October 2018. People had to sit on their token for a year. Then we waited for the best timing to actually list those tokens. And yes, it's secondary trading, which means absolutely zero restriction. Accredited, non-accredited, foreign, local, your mom, I think there's an age limit. But other than that, it's open to anyone.
Yeah, and also just going off on that, Stephane, would you be able to answer this question as well? Someone asked, with the Aspen coin STO, will XTZ only be accepted during the launch?
So that's not the way it works. Actually, first, the placement of the STO happened in October 2018.
Right.
Secondly, these become a private security. And the genius of T0 Computer Share and what we've done together is we figure out how to have a bid-ask book building for a private share into a real estate. You don't pay with XTZ, you pay with dollars. It's a fiat instrument, but it's powered. The technology of communication between T0 and the book of record, which is the transfer agent, runs on the blockchain. So actually it's a blockchain powered, but it is not a token that trades on a non-official exchange and you buy it with crypto. Not yet. Maybe in the future, but every contract that we build on for tokenization are Tezos FA12.
So this may lead into probably what these audience questions are trying to get to, which is like, basically, what is the underlying value to XTZ from having Aspen coin as a security token on top of the platform? And I think you already mentioned it a little bit there. So each transactional record requires a gas fee, right? And then we also have wallet creation burn fee as well. So maybe you could provide more detail into when someone registers for an account with T0, is a new XTZ wallet created? And what type of gas burn fees can we expect if there's any estimation?
All right, okay. So the difference between the US world and the Asian world is quite significant. So let's talk about what we've created. We're a big Tezos fan, right? So when you're going to trade on ERX, any person opening an account on ERX is going to have wallet, and it's going to be not even multi-asset wallet, it's going to be one asset, one wallet. So the activity of ERX, Simico, SC Digital, the elevated return world in Asia is going to be massive in terms of using and burning fees for the Tezos community. In the US, you're not going to see this because, unfortunately, the way that the US SEC look is you're either a security or you're not. If you're a security, you have to trade within the rules of FINRA and the SEC. So that means you need to be through traditional broker. They are not yet allowing people to trade between themselves and to do self-custody. So effectively, you trade within the custodian wallet. The reason why it's significant, we've already talked about it, is 60 trillion of commercial real estate. The world of tomorrow is going to be DeFi. Does the local SEC in the United States welcome decentralized exchange of security token? I think not for now, probably not for 1 to 2 years. It will come, but this is not what you're going to see. Don't expect the gas fee to go up because Aspen can't trade. But expect to see 100,000 copycat of Aspen coin coming to the market within the next 18 months.
Now that's a quote. So getting to the next audience question here, I believe they're asking about the ERX exchange. built over in Thailand. Is this available to citizens of all countries, or is there a specific whitelist of countries that can open accounts with this exchange?
So great question again. So everything we do in the Asian space is regulated. We think that the only way you're going to make a change is to work with the regulator. And therefore, we are following the SEC guideline in Thailand, which means that every account has to be whitelisted. There has to be KYC AML, but other than going through the process of doing your KYC AML, there is no restriction. We've selected ourselves not to allow non-accredited US investor is simply because we are based in the United States and I don't want to be seen as soliciting US account in Asia, but that's a personal choice. There would not be any other restriction other than meeting KYC AML basically provisions.
Okay, and before we get into the next bucket of questions, we're going to have a small slide presentation after that for the audience watching here, so stay engaged. I'm just going to drop the keyword now that everyone can put into the YouTube chat for the giveaway of the Ledger Nano S with the Tezos logo branded on it. So the keyword, guys, you're going to want to enter this exactly as I say it. So it's going to be !, elevate Tezos, with a capital E and a capital T. So ! ELEVATE, capital TEZOS. So ! elevate Tezos. Put that in the YouTube chat for your chance to win the Ledger Nano S now.
Yeah, and I think just going off what Ken said there, that kind of leads us into the next topic. Stephane, you recently teased something on your Twitter. You were discussing this utility token, which will feature this kind of reward program. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
That has been, my wife complained that I don't sleep enough, but that's for a good reason. Is because the team, my brain and the team's brain are working, and we kind of looked at what was happening in the world as a result of the pandemic. And obviously the thing that jumped to ourselves was there's going to be a cash flow mismatch here. There is no doubt that the virus will eventually go away, that we're going to go back to normal life. But the question is, how do you survive the crisis? How does the business have access to the necessary cash flow to stay alive? Because if you can fast forward post-COVID or whatever new normal, whatever people call, the good restaurants still going to be in demand. People still need to eat 3 times a day. The question is people don't know how to do it right now. So there is a cash flow mismatch. So I went and I called my lawyers and say, do you think we can actually create an instrument that will address this cash flow mismatch, put it on the blockchain, and effectively do 2 things: create a mass adoption of a blockchain product, because people will use it without even knowing that it has a blockchain component, and rescue an industry which is very dear to me, which is the food and beverage industry, because everyone loves to eat. My wife say love goes through the stomach. So there is a passion there. So what we did is we kind of put our heads together. We spent heaps amount of money on legal advice, and we came to the conclusion that we can actually create what we call a prepaid rewards program that basically will be represented by a digital instrument that will be transferable, secure, never expire, and that give you the right to a redemption price into an ecosystem. So let me try to scale back down a little bit and explain that in layman terms. Everybody understand the gift card process. The gift card process is I'm going to eat in that restaurant, I'm going to pay today, and I'm going to go and consume tomorrow. That's a binary relationship. You choose your restaurant and you go and eat in that restaurant. The restaurant receives the money today, he gives you free food in the future, and that's it. That's a great start. Everybody understands that. But what if you tweak that a little bit? What if you buy an instrument for 80 cents today that is redeemable $1 in the future? And you don't need to choose today where you're going to redeem it. Any member of the ecosystem commit to accept the instrument for redemption. The way we've designed it is only 50% of your bill can be paid using the digital instrument, because the restaurant is going to say, guess what, I need cash to pay for my vendors, my employee, my rent, etc., etc. But we figure out that effectively what it means for the restaurant is, worst case scenario, I'm giving 20% discount. But what I'm getting today is I get cash in my pocket today, which is what the restaurant needs. For the consumer, it's great because I want to help the pizzeria at the corner of my street, but also want a 20% discount when the guy is going to reopen. So it's a positive, streamlining relationship between the consumer and the business. So we took that to our legal advisor and say, can we issue this and not be treated as a security? And bingo. That's what they come back to us and say, because the price is fixed, you can only redeem it for $1. This is no longer an instrument that's going to fail the Howey test, which is the test where people are either a security or not. And therefore, we're in a position where we can actually launch a program that's going to do a lot of noise because it's going to help the people in need, but it's also hopefully going to become a mass adoption blockchain integration. So on phase one, we use the blockchain to once again publish every transaction. We act as a trust, like a charity, if you want. So we want to make sure that anybody challenging us can go and see an immutable record of transaction to know who got what and where did the money go. In the future, that perpetual transferable gift card will become a smart contract. So we're super excited because we really think that, again, with the help of the community, that can change completely the landscape. So we call it a bite, by the way. So we thought it was a fun play, you know, and the tagline is "Put your money where your mouth is."
I mean, I certainly commend you for doing that. It's almost a philanthropic effort to help these restaurants, these small businesses, generate a cash flow in the time of the pandemic. So again, this is something that can be purchased for 80 cents up front and redeemed for $1 worth of food in these restaurants. So a great way for them to get this initial bit of cash flow. And then, of course, you can only pay for 50% of your meal for it. So restaurants are able to get the rest of the bill paid in USD or cash, right? So how about version 1 of the bite here? Can you give us, I know you sort of said it's just going to be like glorified gift card. Can you give us like maybe a date on when we can expect this version 1 to be released?
So there's, it's definitely going to be Q4. I hope it's going to be September. And by the way, what we do for the food industry, you can apply to other industry. And if it works in the US, we should have a European chapter, an Australian chapter, an Asian chapter. It basically creates a new form of economy. Is the consumer fund the business? No more banks, no more intermediaries. It's a good streamlined relationship. I really think it's going to redefine economic ecosystem. I would say September, it's going to be a small proof of concept first. It's going to be very easy to understand. We're also going to allow the restaurant that are members to convert their past GoFundMe into a free donation of bytes to the people that have supported them. So we think there's going to be a huge back integration of a basically conversion. We have great hope, and think about it, right? I don't know how many Tezos wallet holders there is out there. But if we can convince 10% of the community to support the buy initiative, and people to see this transaction, those wallet creation, money flowing into the businesses that needs it, that is front page of the Wall Street Journal. And if it's front page of the Wall Street Journal, I don't think Tezos is not going to gain. So how many times in your life you have an opportunity where you can do something and reap the benefit through your own association with the technology? I'm, again, super excited and super grateful to be able to communicate this vision with your community.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of, positive things will definitely come out of that. But going off of the V1, could you talk a bit about the V2, Stephane?
So yes, and it's a massive change. The V1, the way it works is super simple. You're going to go to chefclubcollective.org. It's not live yet. And you're going to basically put your email or log in with Google, whatever. And you're going to select the restaurant you want to help. And you say, I'm going to basically give $100 to that restaurant. In exchange, you're going to receive Byte in your dashboard that give you basically ownership of Byte. When you want to redeem, that money, by the way, goes 100% to the restaurant. Okay, there's no leak whatsoever. When you want to redeem your Byte, you go back to the platform and you're going to pre-purchase basically a gift card. You're going to receive a QR code on your phone. The restaurant receives the QR code as well. When you go there, you eat, you say, actually, I'm a Byter. That's how we call the people purchasing Byte. And it basically is going to take 50% off your bill, scan your QR code, and you're going to pay the rest on your credit card or in cash. The restaurant can resell his Byte to someone else because remember, a Byte never expires. So it's always worth $1 in one of the members into the ecosystem. So that's phase one. Super simple to understand. You choose who you want to help. You receive an instrument. You can exchange it for a gift card and you can go in any of the members. Phase two is a little bit more complicated. We're going to act as a trust. And look at the trust like a central bank. The trust will basically sell Bytes to the general public. That's where the reward program comes into play. That money in the trust will then be distributed to the member of the trust based on how active they are in the Byte economy. So the more you promote Byte as a business, the more people go and spend Byte in your business, the greater the share of the honeypot you're going to receive. And we think that potentially that instrument, that program will become the method of choice for payment within the food and beverage industry. And in terms of technology, the difference is by the time we are in V2, you actually own a smart contract into a Tezos wallet, into your phone and you directly pay with it. So that means it becomes a method of payment at the point of sale. So V1 is a baby step to V2, but we are using, starting V1, the blockchain for accountability reason, transparency, and registering any money movement into a publishing, into a smart contract.
A lot of reasons to get excited here, and this being one of them. It's almost like I'm just waiting for CNBC to pick this story up. Maybe it will be in a few weeks, few months down the line, and have you on and talk about how you're contributing to the ecosystem, doing all these cool different projects. Before we move on to your slide presentation, Stephane, we have another question from the audience. I think this one will be easily answered here. So they're seeing that I believe it's Overstock is being traded in Fidelity. And they're questioning whether or not this means that Aspen Coin will be traded in Fidelity. So maybe just more clarification on the relationship between Overstock and T0 and how they differ.
Right, okay, so T0 is a subsidiary of Overstock. So the visionary behind Overstock, Patrick Byrne, and now Mr. Johnson, have two business. They have the online ordering, like a cheap version of Amazon, and then they have the digital business. If I refer to the earnings call of last week, they think, funny enough, that it's not going to be the mini Amazon, the future of overstock valuation. It's going to be their T0 investment. So they're hyper bullish to that. T0, you can buy their own token on their own platform. You can buy a T0 token. You can buy an overstock digital share. But AspenCoin will be traded on T0, not in other platform. I know the T0 talks with Robinhood. I think that once they have enough supply of digital token on their platform, I would not be surprised to see basically some form of collaboration between the retail broker and the T0 ATS. It's a matter, size matters. People want to create relationship because there's enough supply. So again, liquidity. AspenCoin becomes liquid, we're in a different world. So hopefully it will be liquid.
Yeah, and that's all pretty exciting. I think just kind of touching back onto what you said previously about the connective trust, you actually had a demo that you wanted to present today. Would you like to go and start that, Stephane?
Yeah, it's not really a demo. It's more like a couple of slides.
Right.
I want to keep it simple, but I just want to explain how it moves and people understand. Actually, we're not creating anything new. And that's what I love about what we're doing. We're just retooling something that exists, proven concept, and we make it relevant in today's environment. So let me try to do this. And you tell me if you guys see this. So, yep. So what we talk here in a little bit in a summary about why we're excited about the development is, first, I want to go back to the community of Tezos and say a year and a half ago, we went on stage and say, we're going to build a full-blown ecosystem in Southeast Asia. I can tell you we actually did it. It was not easy, but we own 25% of Simico. By the way, Simico is a partner with the Ministry of Finance. So that means we have access to all the public service account. We have done a platform which is licensed today. We're actually the only one that have license to do security investment tokens. And we own as well an exchange called ERX. Again, summarizing here, 3 buckets of assets we're developing: the asset-backed token. These ones are significant and safer. They're less exciting than utility tokens, but it's a good way of parking your money. The US blue chip, this is the low-hanging fruit. Your filing is once, you can do 15 blue chips. And we think there's so much demand from the retail market in Asia for that. And then we will do utility tokens. AspenCoin listing on T0, why it's relevant, I think we've touched it several times during this show, but everyone will be watching. What we are proving here is how to have a price discovery for minority stake ownership into real estate. The size of the potential asset class, 60 trillion. And I'm going to say something, that maybe people don't know. The last true revolution in the real estate space was the invention of the REIT in the late 80s. That's 40 years ago. I think it is time now to see, people say democratization, I don't like the word, but it's basically go and own a piece of the asset you love. Whether or not we're going to keep adding perks to this and say, maybe if you have AspenCoin, you've got a special suite. We don't know yet, but guess what? We're creative people. So most likely you're going to see more and more attached to this. And then that is the exciting thing. Have a bite with us, because that is potentially mass adoption. And I'm super excited about it because each restaurant already has its own fan base. So they're going to market the bite through their own captive audience. So it is potentially something which is revolutionary. So again, we call it a reward program It allows restaurants to raise money by selling bite. It's as easy as you buy 80 cents, you redeem $1. They never expire. They are inflation. Oh, by the way, the inflation protected too. So every 6 months, we calculate inflation for food and we drop 3 bites to make sure that your purchasing power never get diluted. Because today the price of a hamburger is $20. If the folks at the Treasury keep printing dollar just like other people are using toilet paper, well, the price of the hamburger is not going to be $20 for long. It's going to be $2,000 in 10 years. Your bites protect you from food inflation. But here is, and everything built on Tezos, right? But this is what an ecosystem looks like. You have a non-for-profit that acts as a toolbox for restaurant to raise money. In the future, maybe the restaurant pays their employees using bites too, because guess what? They need to eat. Do you want cash or do you want bite? What about the provider? Let's say no restaurant has been paying rent recently, right? If you go to the restaurant and join the Chef Club Collective and say, listen, I can't pay you in cash, but I can issue bites to you. What about that? Suddenly you solve this cash flow problem because you have the ability to issue an instrument that is worth something for someone in the future. We're also going to have, it's called a transfer portal. So let's say if you buy bites today, but guess what? You need money tomorrow. Well, guess what? It's not money lost. There's going to be a portal where you can exchange and you can basically going to be able to sell or to buy bites on the portal. What is key is that the bite is only going to ever be worth $1. So don't buy bites because you think that you're going to speculate it's going to be worth $5. That's not the game here. You buy bites because you want to eat at a discount in the future, or you buy bites because you think it's great for Tezos to have a mass adoption blockchain application, and then you make your money because Tezos increase in market cap. So that's in summary what we're doing.
Amazing presentation here. And I think, out of every recession that happens within an economy, there's always an innovation that occurs with that. In 2008, we could attribute Bitcoin's creation to the revolution of the finance industry. While this next recession that we're having here, we could see, a number of the solutions you're providing be that advancement that comes out of this. It could be the security tokens providing liquidity to minority shareholders. It could be solving the cash flow issues for small businesses. These are just two examples using Tezos technology that could be leading innovations coming out of this recession. So definitely stuff to get excited about here. And not to keep the audience waiting too long, I think we have a winner in the works here. Do we have a winner yet, Will, picked from the Ledger Nano S giveaway?
We do not have one just yet.
Okay.
I think we're still waiting on that.
Just to recap again, guys, we have $60 trillion in real estate assets sitting on the sideline watching Aspen Coin and seeing the kind of liquidity that occurs within the first few days of trading to see if this is going to be a true answer to solve the issue of having no liquidity for minority shareholders of real estate properties. So, okay, looks like the winner is in here. Will, if you want to go ahead and take that away.
Sure. So we have a winner. The winner is Krum Krumov. That's KRUM KRUMOV. Krum, you will need to send a email to social@tezoscommons.org, and we will also request verification that that is actually your YouTube account. So best way to do that is just take a screenshot of your details.
Congratulations, Krum. And any closing statements that you want to give us here, Stephane?
Well, yes, the closing statement is, I need you guys, right? We are all in this together. If the community is responsive to those ideas will exist. It's truly a case of On paper, they all work. The technology is there, the infrastructure is there. It's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we believe in it enough, if we spread the love, we all going to benefit from it, and we're going to build a different world. So I truly believe that I will not even be able to talk to you if it wasn't for the community. So the community has been helping us to get to where we are. And again, thankful, grateful for this amazing community. We can actually do the next step together. And I think that everybody could have a very big smile on their face if we do that, because I think that the sky is the limit.
Well said. Well said. And if you guys want to follow Stephane on Twitter, you can find him at Stephane de Baets, and then at Elevated Returns as well. And the website is elevatedreturns.com, I believe. And do you guys have a Telegram or anything like that, or any additional ways people can reach out?
For the moment, as I say, because we were in the middle of regulatory listing and so on, we try to keep our social very clean. I think that will change in the future, but we have very big milestone to come. So we want people to focus on the product, not the bragging. And truly, we need you guys. We love you guys. Thank you for having me today. And any question, anytime, reach out. We're super transparent and happy to help.
Excellent. Okay, so guys, follow us at Tezos Commons. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the main social media accounts. And also check out tezoscommons.org/TezTalks for more information on our upcoming episodes. Thank you guys for watching. For Stephane and Will, I'm Ken. Take care until next time.